Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, on a continued journey taking issue with Batman and Robin Eternal. Previously, Tim Drake gained access to Gnosis, the sacred city for the Order of Saint Dumas, by using Red Hood as a tribute. Soon enough, Red Robin encountered Saint Dumas himself, who somehow powered their city based on a piercing the veil of reality shtick that's pretty poorly explained, only for Tim to reveal he and Hood were there to shut them down. After basically confessing to Drake that Jean-Paul Valley was merely a commissioned soldier from Mother, he prepares to kill them both and make a new Angel of Death from Jason Todd, who's been afflicted with the recently much talked about Project Ichthys.
Dogpile on the Scarecrow, Dogpile on the Scarecrow. Issue 16, Jackson Lanzig and Colin Kelly on script, starts years back in Cairo, where Batman and Robin have caught up with Scarecrow. Even after a blast of fear gas, the boy wonder isn't going to yield, following the villain over a rooftop, firing a secure line, and slamming him against a wall. Also, note the title for the issue, The Dying Joke.
Weirdly enough, this is very similar to the character interconnection thing I've mentioned before, except this time they're making you think of an older story by using a similar title, even though Jason Todd died in a story called Death in the Family, not in The Killing Joke. So it's more than likely just cheap marketing. That may seem too harsh, but remember, this story absolutely deserves it.
With Crane down for the count, Batman instructs his ward to take the Mad Doctor back to Gotham in the Batplane, while the Dark Knight clears away any remaining fear gas. Stupidly calling him by his real first name while a villain is nearby. Sure, he's probably losing consciousness, but it's still not very smart. Bats assures his sidekick that he's been an excellent colleague. As Robin takes off, Bats narrates the continuation of File 141287. He was being honest about the young acrobat's skills, but he can't know the truth of what follows. A dark decision for a better heir. In the present, Azrael has been turned around. Somehow. Maybe Dumas used his techno-telekinesis, but I can't imagine why. Anyway, it's explained that Crane's formula was the first step, used to initiate trauma in kids for the telepath sculptor to mold as Mother saw fit. But then came a better way in Ichthys, which started as a crude neurokinetic algorithm to induce awe in the human brain, explaining what Az did to Red Robin in Santa Prisca. But that was the prototype for a weapon of conversion, which would instead stimulate pain. Red Hood is brought in by drones, though I can't tell how since there are no wires lifting him. Ichthys works by having its victims face its greatest trauma, but gives them the ability to overcome it and become a fearless warrior, which we see in Jason Todd's mind, where his Robin self is being beaten by the Joker until he morphs into an amalgamation of his past and current identities, and turns the tables.
An alternate universe where the votes for Death in the Family went in the opposite direction, and apparently included Jason Todd morphing into his own fan-created Power Ranger.
Outside Todd's head, Azrael is coming to terms with his existence being a series of lies. Dumas regards him as a failure, but Red Rob reinforces that the Order and Mother took his life from him. Az has a recovered memory of his parents getting their throats cut, which gives him enough strength to break free. Fighting off attack drones, he relents that he is no longer the angel to a false saint that sees an infinite multiverse and desires only conquest. But he remains Azrael all the same. He goes for a killing slash with his fire sword, but Dumas literally vanishes between panels as more drones are followed by monks.
Alright, despite the Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan vibe here, I doubt Dumas was one with the Force, so did he teleport? Because there's no visual cue to that effect. And since he was somehow powering the place, do they no longer have electricity?
As Jean-Paul takes aim at destroying the city he once revered, and we see there are a bunch of arrows pointing to the red stripe on his back, for some reason, Tim tries to piece together how he's going to beat what's essentially a computer virus for the brain, but as more enemies close in, he's advised to do so on the move. The two fight while verbally working on how to stop Ichthys' hold over Hood, who's still having a grand old time in his revenge fantasy. It's also not explained how Az knows Jason was killed by the Joker, because even though it was used to imply his immense holy knowledge, there will be no follow-up after the revelation that he was raised on a sham. Unfortunately, as Tim relays, he has to ignore the strength he's feeling and the instinct to fight back. For some reason, pressing foreheads together, despite these two not really getting along, he needs to remember the incident as it actually happened, every sense, every feeling he felt, and carry the burden again to be the hero Tim knows he is.
I have a hard time considering this version of Jason Todd a hero. He's a killer, he's a jerk, and on occasion, a narcissistic liar. So why are all these other characters like Tim and Barbara acting as if he's the best guy to be around? What are these redeeming qualities the writers have seen fit not to show us? And wait a minute, that's just like what they do with Harper Row. I think Jason and Harper might be the same character. Somehow.
So, Robin Todd hands the crowbar back to Joker, and a moment later, he's out of his own head. Tim tells him everything's fine and he's good, but Jason disagrees. I don't think I've been good for a really long time. Hey, this happened in the previous Eternal series. I actually agree with something Jason Todd said. Then he says he may be finally ready to try, but I'm not holding my breath. Instantly wearing his helmet, somehow, he's ready to join Red Robin and Azrael in their face-off with a city full of fanatics to get information on Ichthys to the others. Az tells them where to find the means to escape, while he, a seeker of truth, dismantles a city of lies by driving his sword into the ground, causing an enormous flash. There looks to be some kind of lightning, but I can't tell what effect it has on their enemies. By the power of ambiguity, I have a cop-out! Hood and Red R find a plane, take off, and broadcast a signal for Grayson on all SPYRAL channels. However they know about the comm channels of a secret agency. Mother's children are just victims of programming, which I think they caught on to earlier, but hey, clarification's good too. Then Todd tries being schmaltzier than he usually is, saying how the kids Bats made into soldiers chose to be a family. Meanwhile, in the past, Bats takes a gun out of a trash can, and a couple panels later, a shot rings out in the night.
I was going to put it in the proper recycling bin, and it just went off by accident, honest!
Issue 17, Ed Brisson scripting, begins with St. Hadrian's School for Girls, secret base for SPYRAL. David Kane is in a cell trying again to get into Grayson's head about Batman being disappointed in him. Matron, aka Helena Bertinelli, is no more interested in Orphan's Hannibal Lecter impression and hits him with a high-intensity, potentially fatal Hypnos Blast. Agent 37 doesn't approve, but this may be the best chance to get answers from his captive, so he asks about what Batman did for Mother in Cairo. But Orphan's not cooperating. Poppy, Grayson's former partner and revealed operative of Mother, informed them of SPYRAL's tech, and Kane managed to train himself to resist. He does have a question for the first Robin, though. If Bats truly thought of him as an equal, why is he asking questions he should already have the answers for? As if he couldn't be trusted with the truth?
Yeah, well, he never trusted me with the password to his Wi-Fi, so this isn't very surprising.
Years back, it's the end of issue 1 all over again, but from a different angle. Batman has just shot a kid's parents, confirming with Mother over comms. Turns out she and Orphan were nearby in the shadows, and they intend to take the boy back for training. Turns out he wasn't the intended new Robin, but merely a test of trust. However, a certain child can't keep his mouth shut, declaring the parents are in fact alive, and Batman is a dirty, stinking liar! As Kane restrains Bats, Mother guesses he used some manner of special gadget to simulate the attack, though I don't know how rubber bullets or paralytic squibs account for that much fake blood. Is there anything you don't have in that utility belt of yours?
No. This comic doesn't deserve a reference to when The Simpsons were still mildly funny and featured a cameo by Adam West, no matter how absolutely fitting it is. Also, I don't have that clip.
Mother is disappointed that Wayne couldn't see things her way, but he retorts that she's overestimated herself. Scarecrow became aware of his expendability, gave her the push to believe Batman wanted a better sidekick, but he'd never lost faith in Grayson in the first place. He made mistakes, sure, but it helped bring the human trafficker to light. Just as Mother orders Kane to kill him, Pointy Ears gives a verbal command that causes a fiery explosion around the area. It's an effective enough distraction that he can knock over Orphan, tie up the phony family, and apprehend Mother after she fall down go boom. And suddenly I'm curious how many Egyptian theaters have English signs. Somehow, the killer that always wears white after Labor Day was not instantly defeated by being pushed to the ground, kicking Bats away and pressing his attack while saying the true intended child is presently being hunted in Gotham. Taking the fight inside the theater, Batman tries pummeling the name of the target out of David, but nothing doing. The assassin just falls back on the classic "not killing makes you weak" line and stabs Bats with a short knife. Hey, what's with that reaction?
Even as early in his career as this is set, you'd think he'd been in enough fights that he wouldn't find something like this so shocking. Or did he finally think he and Orphan were getting along?
While Mother has wrangled her arms from behind her and gets her child underling to break her thumb so she can slip out of the back cuffs, the caped crusader tosses Orphan around some more, saying killing doesn't make one stronger or better. Careful, dude, you'll get a slew of poorly spelled hate mail from Dawn of Justice fans. Just as it looks like Kane's done for, Mother threatens to kill her own child slave, which he's totally cool with, unless Batman yields. He tries calling her bluff, only for her to reply, asking if he's been paying attention at all. But doesn't end it with a question mark. Anyway, this provides ample time for Bats to be struck from behind. No more toying around, Orphan. Kill the Batman.
He will screw this up. I'm not saying that because Batman's just so good and he'll obviously survive this, but because your master assassin, long after this event, can't kill a whiny brat from the poor side of Gotham. Don't get your hopes up is all I'm saying here, lady.
Speaking of, back at present-day St. Hadrian's, Harper Row strolls the halls, noting how the girls around her are stuck up, which means we'll have to take her word for it because how could Harper Row be wrong? And she bumps into one by accident, so as to steal her ID card. She plays it off that she may or may not become a student, depending on if the school meets her expectations.
Knowing Harper, that means she won't be happy until they're all praising her for doing the exact same things they do all the time and vocally feeling sorry for her every other hour.
Helena and Grayson have run the gamut on interrogation techniques, something we'll have to take their word for, without a peep from their perp. The info about Batman is important, but so is the possibility of more than Poppy being a mother mole. Dick mentions she met their traitor when she was eating people, and Bertinelli asks if she should list Agent 37's screw-ups.
I don't know, did they involve cannibalism in any way?
They're alerted to an incoming unidentified ship claiming to be friends of 37, and sure enough, it's the Reds, fresh from their fight from Gnosis. Dick snarks about calling first, so I guess that message Jason sent never got received. Meanwhile, Harper has snuck into a holding cell approaching Kane to call him names and reveal what Sculptor told her about Cassandra's upbringing. Because everything has to relate to Harper Row in some way, she notes how her own father is like Gandhi compared to Orphan, even throwing in that he's a deadbeat heel of an absentee dad, to once again reiterate to the reader her dad isn't a great person, like that's the main point of this entire series. Idiot isn't surprised, but doesn't believe the telepath quite revealed everything. Told Cassie is in the facility because the hair dye is affecting Rose's brain, Orphan delightedly tells her there's more to his daughter's trip to Gotham that she doesn't know.
So, Harper breaks into a facility to tell a murderer that's committed his life to killing that she thinks poorly of him? Because, what, her opinion is supposed to be so blasted important? Because it'll really teach him a lesson to know that Bluebird thinks he's a lousy human being? Or is it just so she can weasel in a way to mention how sucky her life is? She's really full of herself, people. Of course, the real reason for this stupid scene is to set up the not at all surprising surprise they've already announced with a bullhorn by now.
Issue 18, Brisson still scripting, opens to Red Robin informing SPYRAL's tech lady, Dr. Netz, and everyone else in the group except Harper on Ichthys, saying stuff we already know, but adding that it was modified to only affect children, though it could have originally affected everyone. There is actually a good stylized choice here, where a panel flashes back to Jason Todd's experience with the virus, showing part of his head, and the rest is seen in the present day. It's as if the head is kind of split by the gutter, but it retains a sense of wholeness. Kind of a neat artistic flair, really. Back to the briefing, one press of a button and thousands would be under Mother's sway, and embracing the fear like Red Hood did isn't going to work as well on a bunch of maniacal kids. Back to Harper. Look, Poppy's in the background, saying she doesn't believe anything Kane says, and that he forced Cass to kill, but he responds that it's what the girl wanted, to kill for Batman. That's when we're taken back to Cairo in the past, where Bats was apparently given the opportunity to get up so Orphan could smack him with some funky-looking briefcase while gloating. Mother tells him just to kill the bat already, again, but no one expects the bat tackle. Batman separates the kid slave from Mother before throwing explosive capsules, and when some machinery, maybe a projector, falls towards Mother, Orphan pushes her out of the way, getting crushed instead, but her legs are broken in the process. Telling the boy to stay put, Batman pulls some debris off the woman, who insists she'd endured worse. She weakly asks him to take something from her pocket, 'cause she can't move her arms so well either.
Ugh, cat videos. This is why I didn't accept your friend request. I don't need this cluttering up my feed.
Bats would rather know the identity of the target, and is told that's what he'll get if he presses the button on the device. Projected on a theater's screen is a man and woman, the latter named Miranda, who's creeped out by the place, pilfering a gold mine of copper wiring, which would be funny if this story hadn't been so annoying. Mother says the criminal lowlives have a promising child that could be guided to inherit the Dark Knight's legacy. Radioing Robin won't work since there's no signal getting in or out, just the video feed. However that's supposed to work. Also, depending on how long the flight is to Gotham, he might not even be back yet. We jump back to St. Hadrian's long enough for Kane to keep dancing around the subject, dropping hints until Harper starts getting angry, because Cassie's targets were her parents.
Wow. How surprising. I totally did not see that coming, and it was so well done and necessary as well. That obvious sarcasm aside, Harper saw the memory of Cass killing her mom, heard the cries for mercy, yet did not recognize her voice?
Batman is powerless as he watches the strangely well-documented murder of the pleading Miranda Row, while her husband Marcus flees in terror. Back with Dumb and Dumber, Cassie only killed the mother, clearly not happy about it, and failed to kill Pappy or bring young Harper to them, and this whole time Batman knew, well, Row was denied her place beside him. Ugh.
Wait, hold up. Isn't Mother's whole deal is that she has her assassins kill parents in front of their children to traumatize them before taking them in? So why did that change for Cassandra's first kill? I mean, obviously, besides the fact that current day Harper would likely have recognized her. Either way, you've got a plot hole they didn't bother to try and fix. Same old story.
Mother asks what Bruce will do now. Leave Harper, and the brother they never mention, oddly enough, in the Narrows with a man that let their mom die, or let her know that these events happen because of Batman's own ruse to entrap a secretive human trafficker. He vows to make her pay, but she crunches a cyanide capsule, for which Bats is obviously prepared with a counter serum. He doesn't get a chance to use it, though, as local police enter, led by Mother's boy Ahmed, who clearly didn't listen and says Bats shot his parents and tried to kill him. And holding an injured, dying old woman doesn't make him look any less guilty. He replies in English because he either never studied the local language or he did and he's an idiot. The cops open fire, busting his syringe as well as piercing his flesh, so he cuts his losses and makes a bat exit.
It's not like I want Batman to die, but at that close range, those cops must have flunked out of Stormtrooper shooting school.
Presently, oh yikes, who hit Cass and Grayson with the ugly stick? I mean, Nets says it may be possible to create a neutralizing countervirus. If they had about a week, maybe more. Alternatively, maybe they could restrict access to likely areas of maximum impact, say schools, like St. Hadrian's. By the power of convenient timing, a noise plays over the speakers, and they realized it's already happening, so the room is sealed. Jason and Dick are old enough that they won't be affected, but their vulnerable companions, Cass, Tim, and Harper, will need to stay with Dr. Nets. That's when Grayson notices that last one is missing, as she's busy sobbing in a fetal position on a splash page.
Why? Why is she so sad? Is there a Bat ally out there whose qualities she hasn't ripped off yet? Not only was she supposedly the single most greatest potential Robin ever, she's now the epicenter of Cassandra Cain's origin. It's not even about the mute ninja girl anymore, if it ever truly was. It's all about Harper. It's always all about Harper, and it's clearly not enough for her. She needs more traits stolen from other characters, because Bluebird has almost no unique qualities herself. Next week, maybe she'll prove to be a better police commissioner than Jim Gordon, a better thief than Catwoman, and a butler so amazingly fantastic, Alfred will retire and then jump into a piranha tank in shame. Because handing her other people's abilities is easier and lazier than making her unique all her own. But certainly not better.